It's 1966. In a small town of Gary, Indiana, Michael Jackson, a 9-year-old boy, watches kids playing in the field from his window. His father, Joseph Jackson, calls him up to practice singing with his brothers. He goes in and occasionally falters. His father scolds him to keep it right. Once he gets it pretty right, he concludes it. Later, one night at the dinner table, Joseph brings up that he thinks they are now ready to perform on stage. He has talked with the managers, and they will perform 2 evenings per week. It excites the boys. Their mother Catherine says they are still kids and have their schools. When Joseph tells them that in this life they are either winners or losers, they are poor black kids, and they won't get anything as gifts. They have to fight for it. Eventually the practice begins, and they perform their first show as the band Jackson 5. Michael is the front guy and they keep the club dancing and vibing. Joseph watches it with a serious look from backstage. They get home and he wants to get back into practicing. Catherine says they have just got here and the boys also say they are tired. However, Joseph asks them all if they think they are tired because they performed well. Michael is the only one who responds, yes, they performed well. He calls him up and opens his belt. He beats him for contradicting his opinion in his house. He once more says in this life they either win or lose. Michael runs away from there and cries in the kitchen. Catherine arrives at the door to console him. The practice continues, and they keep on performing from one stage to another, traveling to places. The audience vibes to their show. A year passes by and they have gone to bigger stages. Once as the kids are performing, Joseph talks to the host Suzanne and asks if she likes them. She says Michael has a God-given talent and gives him a card saying he will hear from her. He sees she is an assistant of Motown Record Corporation. Michael enchants the stage with his moves and voice, and the audience keeps cheering. They reach the studio and meet with the manager, Mr. Gordy. Michael begins performing. Gordy says he is moving a little too much and he makes him try again. Joseph tries to talk to Michael but Gordy stops him saying he should just focus on the boys coming here on time. Everything else is up to him. Soon he catches the vibe, and they're all loosened up. As the singing continues, Gordy is locked in with his voice. Once Michael is outside, he says he has been in the business for a long time and thinks he is rare. He teaches him in the studio and creates a bond with him. Joseph comes in for it's time to go home. Michael hugs Gordy and before he leaves, he says he can call him anytime he wants. The Jackson 5 records their first album. They name him as an 8-year-old despite him being 10 for more attention. The DVDs sell well, and the press and media begin to interview them. The album soon hit #1 on the Hot 100 chart. 2 years later, the family is living in a big house in California. Michael is in his room when his brother calls him down for Joseph. He gets down and Joseph introduces him to a man named Bill, who is his new bodyguard. He'll be there often. Later, Michael talks to his mother about getting a llama as a pet. She says he already has a pet rat, but Michael is focused on getting a llama as well, expressing all its good qualities. She says he might try having friends of his own age, but he says he is not like other children. Everybody looks at him as the famous kid. Only his animals treat him like a normal human. She says he is different from the day he is born, and he must never let anyone take the light from him. He must always savor it. 7 years pass by. Michael, now grown, wants to make a solo album. He tells the label manager to tell his father that the solo album idea was theirs. They're a little surprised hearing this, but agree to do so. They further express their delightfulness of having to produce his first solo album. They head to Joseph, who is, as usual, the manager of the Jackson 5, and talk about it. He says he's okay with it. However, Joseph says he must have him from 9 to 5. They will have to take him after that. They agree and leave. Michael now has his llama and spends his time with it. Bill then drives him to the studio, and he begins recording his first song on the album. His popularity keeps on growing. He attends to the kids at a cancer hospital. One morning, he wakes up his whole family to show them something. A truck pulls up and he brings out a chimpanzee from inside. It's his new pet. It approaches and hugs him. Michael says he saved him from a hideous place where they performed experiments on animals. Joseph is amused by this. In his room, Michael reads The Chimpanzee, the children's book of Neverland that he himself was enthusiastic about as a child. Days later, Michael goes to surgery to fix his face. He is concerned about leukoderma on his hand and takes medicine for it. He is further worried about his face. The doctor says he is a good-looking man, but Michael believes his face isn't symmetrical, so he wants the surgery done anyway. He returns home and tries to sneak into his room when his father calls him. He stops and looks back. Joseph calls him towards and is concerned seeing his face. Michael says it's because of his sinuses and leaves. Michael now has a giraffe pet as well. The first stage surgery is completed and looks at himself in the mirror. Later, when he reads his fans' letters with his sister, she says his face looks pretty good. He is happy to hear that he wants the world to see him in a new light instead of just a part of a boy band. Alongside them is his pet python. His brother comes in saying Joseph has summoned a meeting. Joseph claps his hand as Michael reaches them. He teases him about how he can achieve all the success in the world alone. Now he has decided on a tour and a live album for the whole band. Michael says he needs to think about it, but Joseph says he will decide what he should think. He further asks now that he is a superstar if he thinks he is better than them. Catherine tries to interrupt but he shuts her up. Michael leaves angrily. He comes out of the house and asks Bill to take him out on a drive. Outside his home there are a bunch of fans as they drive through the valley and reach a quiet spot. Michael says that Joseph is taking advantage of him. His plan was set up for a solo tour, but Joseph wanted to organize the band tour. Bill says that he can move. However, Michael says he is not ready for that. Bill says life is not easy, and Michael replies that he loves his family, but he just wants to stand on his own feet. Bill says Joseph will never be different. Everything he does is for the whole family's success. He doesn't care about individual interests or their well-being. He suggests getting his own team and a good lawyer. Michael does the solo tours and 2 more years pass by. He has now embraced a new appearance with more fame. At a deals meeting, the managers put down their propositions that Michael doesn't like very much until one of them named John Branagh catches his attention saying the best idea is to go solo. Michael asks who he is. He introduces him and Michael knows. He represents the Beach Boys, Neil Diamond and Bob Dylan. He asks if he knows what he wants to achieve and John responds that it is to be the greatest in the world. He asks if he can help him with that and John replies yes. Michael wonders how and he says in his opinion, there is no one else like him and never will be. Michael dismisses the rest and once they are alone he gives him his first assignment which is to fire his father as his manager as quickly as possible. Joseph is in the house when a telegram appears. It's a one-sentence letter dismissing him as Michael's manager. He is baffled reading it. He heads to Catherine instantly and shows her the letter. Frustrated that he couldn't do it man-to-man, he says he will have to get beaten. Catherine says he shouldn't. He's an adult. It further angers Joseph, but Catherine says he should rather thank his son because all they have got is because of him. Joseph says that everyone is forgetting he was the one who got them out of the small town. However, Catherine leaves. Bill and Michael are at the market shopping when a young mother is shocked seeing him there. She asks for an autograph, saying it's for her son. Soon, more people gather around for his sign, and he happily signs them all. He brings in a puzzle home to play with his brothers like they used to. He gets in his room and plays with his chimpanzee and gets down to bring him some ice cream when he comes across Joseph standing with a letter. He asked him to read it, but Michael doesn't. Joseph says he has a lot to learn about being a family and leaves. Michael continues visiting hospitals to cheer up the cancer patients. He later expresses his hopes of hosting the greatest tour of all time to John. He also wishes to make a short film. He doesn't want to do more interviews. John suggests that it won't be good, but Michael insists on it. John says he might like to make some cool demos for his new tour. Michael begins to work on it, making new songs or ideas. He watches news of violence against black people on TV. He gets some inspiration from it and gets into work at full force. He decides to head to the underground hip-hop community. Bill doesn't find it very wise, but Michael says he has a great idea. They reach the place, and he finds the vibe in their rhythm. They show their moves to him. One of them asks for his autograph. Michael thanks them for agreeing to meet. He says, music and dance are something they all have in common. It's a universal language, and they can change the world. He teaches them a dance that is done with natural fluidity. They all find themselves in it eagerly, and Michael says he wants them all in a short film. The practice goes on with passing days, and Michael records the songs. In between, he also watches a film each day. One day, while watching a thriller film, he gets the idea of what the film is going to be like. He calls it Thriller. He puts on a makeup of a monster, letting the others dress up as the same as they perform Billie Jean. This raises Michael to the height of his popularity. They meet the record company producer, who expresses his praise for how well it's doing. Michael is happy with the film. However, he wants something more. John says his videos should be on MTV. The producer instantly says that's impossible. John says the records will sell more if it's played on MTV. The producer says it's impossible because MTV never plays black artists. Michael now speaks up, saying his music is for everyone. The producer says he has tried it already, and Michael responds that he should try harder. Just then, the man calls up his assistant and tells them to connect him with the manager of MTV. The call is connected, and he tells them to air the song, and as usually gets instantly rejected. That's when the producer threatens them, saying that if he doesn't play the video in 10 minutes, he will pull all his artists from their contract, which includes Bruce Springsteen, Billie Jean, Bob Dylan, and more. He then hangs up the phone, and there's a smile on Michael's face. It's 1983. Michael is performing Billie Jean in California, where he does the moonwalk. His Thriller has sold 25 million copies. The crowd erupts over him. The road is filled with people as he greets them from the center. His family congratulates him at the party, while his father comes screaming in irony, saying how he has been made a money-making machine. Later, Joseph talks to an old producer friend named Don that he wants to make a return of the Jacksons. Don asks if Michael would be there, and Joseph hesitantly says yes. He suggests managing a world tour. It should be called the Victory Tour, with sponsorships from rich companies like Rolls-Royce. He praises Don, knowing how good a promoter he is. Don says he has an idea. Pepsi wants to advance in the market, and Michael could become their face to the outside world. However, he tells him he'd better not fool him by not bringing Michael. At night, when Michael heads to his bedroom, he is shocked to find his father. He says he would have thought a poor boy from a small town would make the best-selling album in the whole world. He says he thought that. He asked him to sit by him, but Michael says he is drunk. Joseph then says that he has to go on a tour with his brothers. Michael says he is not a child anymore. He needs to live his own life. However, Joseph approaches him, saying he won't do well without a family. He is calling Dawn and confirming the tour, and leaves. The tour happens. However, during the rehearsal, an accident makes Michael's head catch on fire. Everybody shuts it, and he is taken to the hospital immediately. The whole family impatiently waits outside. The doctor comes out, and they surround him. He says his condition is stable. They're trying to get his heart rate up. He's in a lot of pain. He has third-degree burns and several damaged nerves. Joseph asks if he will ever be able to perform again, and Catherine looks at him in shock. The doctor says his son was close to dying, and he needs their emotional support now. His head is healing, and the doctor says he needs a few more surgeries. Michael wonders if he has to wear a wig. The doctor responds that they will have to get over the operation first. At night, Bill brings in some special food for Michael to cheer him up, but it doesn't work. Catherine apologizes to Michael. Michael says he doesn't want to talk about it. Joseph will do whatever he wants. He is never going to stop. The next day, when John comes to see him, he sees Michael talking to another severely burnt patient. As he comes out with John, he expresses how all the burnt patients here break his heart. He asks about the upcoming payment and wants them all donated to the burns department here. Frustrated, Joseph expresses to Catherine how without Michael, the tour can't happen. They are going to lose so much money. Catherine says Michael just got out of the ICU. He didn't even want to go on the tour. He must realize that he has to go his own way, and sometimes he needs to get out of the way, otherwise he will lose him. He asks what about the other boys, and she says they will find their way as well. Later, Michael expresses to Bill that God has been good to him. He was close to death, and he got a second chance. He will use that to spread joy and love. He has decided to go on the tour for the sake of his family. It's 1984. The stadium is filled with people. Michael walks to the stage with his brothers and begins singing. The audience goes crazy with emotions overflowing. In between, once around the ending, he thanks his brothers for it all and also says this will be his last tour with them, taking Joseph off guard. Catherine has a smile on his face. As the tour concludes, Michael leaves the stage on his own. It's 1988, and Michael is heading to a solo tour. He performs his heart out and the audience devours it with full entertainment. His story will continue. So that was the recap of the 2026 movie Michael. For more recaps like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you stayed through it, you will also find this fun.